Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED. June the 10th is our day. 2017 is our year. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. We're both real estate brokers with John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, and we get together with you once a week here on KMED to talk about all sorts of real estate-related issues and topics through almost 400 shows in almost 9 years of this thing, actually. We've been doing this, and we've never run out of topics to talk about, and we'd love to get people back in us who stimulate our thought discussion, as Lance Landers of Ionic Estate Sales has done over the years. And so he's back with us today. Joe, we're going to talk about estate sales.
I'm going to learn some more really good things that are going to help our listeners.
Yeah, before we get into that, just the latest SOMLS stats came out, this week. And I thought it was really interesting because we told people, the last few months that sales were down the first 3 months of the year. Remember, because of the weather, low inventory. That's continued, Joe, surprisingly. In the March, April, May activity, which are generally the three busiest real estate months of the year, in 2017, sales were down 50 units from a year ago during that time. New construction was down a little bit as well. Rural property sales, they were also down slightly. Homes on the market, that's the issue. Inventory was down 7%. So you think about it, when we started doing our show, of course, it was in the recession time back in 2009. There were, 1,100 homes in the market in that time. Remember, there was a lot of inventory, and it was a buyer's market.
Right.
Remember?
Completely.
Today, there's less than 900 across the county. So that really makes a difference in sales. I just want to also give you some quick stats here. Pending sales for May, we're talking about the month of May. Pending sales in Jackson County were down 2%. New listings, they were up though, but only by about 15 units. Yeah. That's really not making much of a dent. It's not going to make a dent. The average day on the market in Jackson County is 32 days. That's remarkable.
Lightning fast.
But if you go on, as we know in the snapshots, some of those price categories, they're gone in a day or two. So that's why that average is still at 32, but it's coming down. And the most interesting parts of it are all the available homes per buyer. From a year ago, down 20%. That's why sales are down. And the month supply of inventory was down 24% from a year ago to 2 months supply of inventory in Jackson County. And Josephine County, by the way, is very similar to those stats. So there's a lot of activity going on, right?
Yeah, there is. And more activity waiting in the wings than can take place because we just don't have enough properties.
And my last stat for you, which is always the cool one we get out of the John L. Scott office, which is the market snapshot. This is the month supply of inventory in price range. Remember that? Well, what is it you think? $150,000 to $250,000 across Jackson County. You've got a half a month supply, less than a half month supply. $250,000 to $350,000. You've got 0.8 months supply. Not even a month supply of inventory in that particular price range. $300,000 to $500,000. It's a little over a month. I mean, just over a month of supply. If you're $750,000 to the million range, you've got a much higher 6 month supply of inventory. But boy, $150,000 to $250,000 up to $350,000 in that range, it's going fast. You got to be pre-qualified. You got to be prepared, or you're going to face multiple offers, right? Now, we're both, as agents, running into this every day.
Yeah, I'd like to invite folks who are looking in the East Medford to Eagle Point corridor to call me, because I showed 22 homes in 3 days in that area over Memorial Day weekend. I got a really good look at the inventory, but there were a couple, Pete, that before I could call the listing agent, when we landed in one that we really liked and we were right then and there thinking of making a play, I immediately called the listing agent and told that I'm welcome to put in a backup offer, and they've been on the market a day and a half. So that happened to us twice in those 3 days.
It's happening in certain categories. You got to be ready to go. Well, anyway, part of the thing today, Lance Landers, we talk about estate sales, and one of the things, first of all, Lance, it's great to have you back here at KMED with us again.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
We'd love to have you back, and thanks for doing that. When we met you a little over a year ago, and we talked about estate sales, little did I think any of us realize the extent of what goes on in that particular line of work and how important it is to the real estate market to be able to have an estate sale and somebody who you can trust and do, correct?
It is. And, it's funny because my statistic that I'll bring to the table is the number one question that gets asked. They walk in the door and they say, is the property for sale? Most of the time it's not. So I have to tell them it's already been sold or they're going to lease it. Regardless, though, call Pete and Joe and get that process rolling. A lot of times they sell it to the family, extremely undervalue it. They're not trying to do it; they just don't know.
Well, that's the thing that we found is that it's the not knowing of how to do an estate sale is what is, to me, is the most important thing around. First of all, how busy are you right now? This is June of 2017. I see your Ionic signs all over the place.
Yeah, we have the big green sandwich boards with the finger on them, so that's our kind of our signature. We have 8 sales just in this month alone.
Eight sales.
Yeah, most companies do about 8 sales a year. We did 73 last year, which was the record in Oregon. Our closest competitor was in Portland, and great company, and they had 62.
Wow.
So,
My goodness. So who are people, Lance, when you talk about estate sales, what does that entail? Who are the people using them? Who's using your service to do this?
Who's keeping you so busy?
Who's doing this?
90% of them are downsizing. They're going from a 4,000, a 2,000, a 2,500 square foot house into a 1-bedroom studio, assisted living, Brookdale, and let's see here.
Well, there's a bunch of them. There's a lot of assisted, a lot of independent living places around. But the point is that you're saying is that it's people who are downsizing, older people who are downsizing into something else. Now, and you say there some of them go to independent living, some go to
RVs,
RVs.
Yes.
Others go into manufactured homes and parks, whatever. But they're leaving their places, correct?
Yeah, they have a full garage. Their attic's full. Their shed in the back is full. Their house is full, and they can't fit it in. So they take a couch. They don't take their dining room table and chairs. They may take, part of their clothing, but they don't even have room for all their clothing.
Yeah. No, especially if you have a big house. I mean, we all know one of the things we're really good at, isn't it, is collecting stuff and storing it. It blows me away. Well, my personal experience with it was the first time I came across this was I had a family, just as you said, Lance. They're downsizing from a big place. They were in their 80s, and they lived there for 50 years in this place. And the family came in, the kids came in and said, "Well, we're going to do the estate sale. We're going to do the estate sale." And that's how I first connected up with Lance. Was that, well, I don't know if you guys can. Do you sure you want to do this? So they, we're going to do it. And they, for the first few hours, it was really fun for them. And then they got kind of tired of it, and then everything went to hell, and there was nothing left to do except find somebody like Lance to come in and save the thing. So really, to start up front, you got to be able to look at it, and family members really are not the ones to do this, right?
Not at all. I think that they will typically undervalue most of the items, and they'll overvalue 4 or 5 items. And you're going to make more in the stuff that you undervalue than the few things that you overvalue.
Well, that's the thing that you do. And this was the thing that I was at one this last weekend, Joe, with some clients we were showing. We came upon an estate sale, and I thought, we walked around it, got back in the car, and I thought, they did everything wrong here. There was no people there. How do you price? Where were they pricing it? That, to me, is the biggest thing where you come in, is that you can look at a house through the stuff.
Yes.
And you know what to price it and what to do with it, correct?
Yes. Like items have to go with like items. I have a really good staff, though. It's my wife and myself, and then our crew is phenomenal. So we can go in on a Monday and have your sale that typically Friday, Saturday, have the keys back to you on Sunday, ready for the new buyer or whoever, the new person who's leasing it, or ready to go on the market for, Pete and Joe to start marketing it.
What do you do with them? You come into the house. Tell me the process that somebody would go with you who's thinking, because we have a lot of older listeners, here on CamED and stuff. There's a lot of us in this situation. So what do you do? Walk us through what you would do if they called you up and said, "We got to do something here. We got to have an estate sale because we got to move." What would you do?
The number one thing I tell them is, please don't throw anything away or donate anything.
Right.
Because those little hidden, hundreds of pieces of clothing that you're going to donate to Salvation Army or Goodwill, we're going to get you maybe several $100s, sometimes several $1,000s, depending on what type of clothing it is. And you just gave away profit for you to move into your new home. That might buy you a new couch or a new love seat or something new that you need for your new move, you know.
Or in my wife's case, new clothes.
Or more new clothes. There you go.
But number one, don't throw anything away. Okay? I mean, don't give it to your neighbors. Don't throw it away.
Yep.
Leave it there for you to determine what to do with that, correct?
Yes. If we have some leftover clothes, we'll donate to the charity of your choice. But let's try and get you as much as we can before you do that.
Before you do that. Right. And that makes, that makes a lot of sense rather than just, here it is and go. But pricing it is always, to me, when you go to places, I don't know what to price it. Do you? When you go into a garage sale or something, I don't know what anything is worth. I don't know. I've done my own. I don't know what anything's worth. But you actually know that, and I've seen you work in that.
Years and years of going through those items, you'll learn that. And then if we, every once in a while, very rarely, we'll run into something we're like, what is this? And then we use, my wife's, been through many appraisal schools. She's very good. And we have online databases that we use to, determine values.
Yeah. So as you look at that kind of a thing with the different items.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you've actually sold? I mean, can you sell? I mean, you did an estate sale for a friend of mine up on East Evans Creek Road.
Might be easier to ask him what hasn't he sold.
No, that's true. But you sold cars there. There were. I mean, you sell everything out of the place, right?
Last year we did 88 cars, several motorhomes. We sold a crane for $100,000 over in Klamath Falls. It took 18 semi-truck loads to get that thing out of there.
Holy smokes.
Really?
Yeah, they took it to North Dakota, and they're working on some sort of a project out there.
Jeez. And you sell those things?
Massive. So,
Jeez.
yeah, we can sell something down. We don't really sell anything under $1. So we try and get you at least $1 for it. All the way up to $100,000 is what we did last year. So, yeah.
I'm guessing this was a business owner. This wasn't just a $100,000 crane just on the property.
Yeah, this was a gentleman
home projects.
who bought it, and he was basically building a beautiful log home on 700 acres out in Bonanza, Oregon.
Wow.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, good choice.
That'd be pretty slick thing. Now, one of the things that you do is that dealing with family. If you got a couple or you're an individual with one of you, not two of you, there's a couple or something, but you got family that comes in and you encourage them. I've heard you again. You encourage the sellers, again, who's going to do the estate, to have the family come in, pick what they want and go. I mean, pick what they want over, correct?
Yes. Take what you need, want, and desire. Leave everything else. Hand us the keys, and we're going to have everything sold. It's going to be displayed beautifully, hundreds of pictures, and we market it to our thousands and thousands of people that we have in our database. You don't have to do any cleaning. We clean. We make dump runs if those are needed. You come home to an empty house ready to sell, virtually.
And in the four or five that I did with you, that you did for my clients, the most astonishing thing was when we came back after it was over, everything was out. There was nothing left, and it was absolutely wonderful. That is a fabulous thing to have happen when you're done with an estate sale.
Estate sale aside, I'd pay to come to my house just to do that.
Just to clean it, just to be out of the thing.
Shape.
But family come in, take what, they want something that they should take the personal things that they want and go.
Yep.
Right? And then you've got this you've got a house full of stuff. I've saw stuff that you worked in. You got people have closets full of stuff, and you go through it all.
It all has to come out and be displayed. We want everything visual. Everything, we've got 55 tables if we need. If we need more, we'll get more. But everything has to be on a table, nice, displayed beautifully, ready to go.
Now you take pictures and photos and you go online. You're very much high tech. In the old days, what you put up a sign on the light post, on the street, had a garage sale, and you hope people come. Now, that's not the way you do it today, obviously, because the goal is to get people there to buy. So tell us how you do that, because that's an important thing. When you're thinking about someone to do this for you, what kind of reach will they get? Can they get you what you need? Because you're paying them a commission to do this.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you get your money back and then some. So how do you do that then?
Marketing is amazing in today's technology. You can target specific groups. So if we're having For instance, we did one over in Bend, and it was a hot rod guy. And so we connected with the hot rod clubs. He was also a ham radio guy, so we connected with those guys. And then he also had beautiful Native American stuff, so we were able to connect with those through multiple different, platforms. But mainly, Facebook is unbelievable to find those groups. And
Sure.
you can really target market through there. You can target market through, there's about 8 national companies that do nothing but market for estate sale companies like mine.
And you're affiliated with them, or you send your stuff to them.
Yes.
So these things go. So you get people outside of the valley
Yeah.
who want to buy, and
We
they can
have
buy
them-
these things,
We
right?
have them fly in sometimes.
So you really come out from all over the world. It opens up if you really have something that someone wants, right?
Yeah, I gotta know.
Absolutely.
We'll ask when
No.
we get back from the
Yeah.
break. My wheels are turning.
We got Lance Landers is in the house talking about estate sales here on the Real Estate Show, the do's and don'ts. Don't you dare go away. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED right after this. Real Estate Show continues here on KMED. June the 10th is our date. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. Don't forget, you can check out any of our past shows at realestateshowOregon.com. They're all there for you, and some terrific shows the last several months, including one on tiny homes, Southern Oregon tiny homes. By the way, the Oregon legislature is forwarding, making tiny homes regulations for the types of constructions, things like regular homes. That was a good news. You got anything you want to say? Joe goes to the hearings, the planning commissions, and all those kind of things. Anything happened in the last week or so there?
Not
Nothing?
earth shaking on the horizon right now, but a lot of it is just subdivisions and the planning going in for some things that have been in works for a long time and are now coming to fruition, especially as those new homes sell. More new homes, ground is broken, and keeps the process moving.
Yeah, one of the strange things that's occurred, we talk about affordability of housing, and how does that change? And what we've really seen in the statistics that we've shed today, what was the median prices rose 10.5% or 10.7% in Jackson County again in the last year. We had the county assessor, here last week and talking about those things, and that doesn't seem it's going to let up.
No.
And if you go over a 5-year period, there's been a 68% increase. In Josephine County, that increase 1 year was 12.8%, which has created in Josephine County the strangest situation, if you can believe it.
I couldn't when you said
the
that.
housing affordability index in Josephine County is now at 89.7. 100%, a score of 100, above 100 is more affordability. Less than 100 is less affordability, and Josephine County has been dropping like a rock. So it's less affordable to live there now than it was, and their statistics are higher than Jackson County, where that affordability is still over 100.
Wow.
What in the world is going on?
That's an inventory crunch magnified up there, I believe.
People want to come to Josephine County.
They do.
I mean, it's a very popular place to go, and that's what we're seeing all over.
Not
And
sure why, but
Well, I'm not sure why.
I think just
I could give
just
you
a little ribbon for my friends.
Yeah, I
up
give
there
you a
at
bunch of
Grass
reasons.
Pass.
That's some great spot. The best thing about there is that the housing is more affordable
Yes, it
there.
is, yep.
But you see, as a result of it, the affordability has lessened. That's so interesting as you watch it. Lance Landers from Ionic Estate Sales with us today on the Real Estate Show. We've been talking about the do's and don'ts of estate sales. And we've heard from Lance. He did 80 of them last year. I mean, he's busy with mostly, he says, 90% of the folks who do this are people downsizing to something smaller. And we can go on a whole other show. Where do they go? What's the alternative housing for people?
Yeah.
And that's another topic on another day, right? Isn't that right?
Arizona is a very popular state.
That people go to.
They're moving to Arizona, and but they're leaving their homes here, and they're just not lasting, as you guys know that.
Well, that's really true. Tell us about how we were talking about marketing these places, and again, don't throw anything away if you're in this situation. If you have family, have them come and take what the things that they want, and then take the key away from them, and then call Lance.
Yes, another do is please get your trust in order. It's very frustrating for the family to go through a long probate, and it doesn't really help the real estate sale. So
No.
we've got one right now, and it's 9 months in probate. And every month it's $4,700 a month to keep that property going.
Oh my goodness.
And it's draining the estate.
It's draining the estate.
So if you could get your trust, in place and not have to put the family through a probate situation that takes a tremendous amount of time.
On the other hand, find the information. You may already have a trust. You may already done this, but people can't find them. We've gone through that where we've had to go to the courthouse and get because there's no documents that you can sell the house. You're the heir of somebody, and they don't have the documents there. You got to go through a lot of problems to do that. You're right about that.
Yeah,
get the papers in order too.
It helps everyone. It helps the family. It helps the real estate guys. It helps Pete and Joe. It helps me tremendously because it's just heartbreaking to see $4,700 a month go out of the estate account. For 9 months.
That's a lot of money, and you're never going to get it back.
Nope.
Right? That's for sure. One of the other things that you also advise people before they do the estate sale is don't throw anything away, including things in the kitchen, food. Everything, which is just when I first heard you say that, I thought the Lancet makes it stupid, but that's amazing to me. Tell me how that works. Tell us how that works.
I can't remember the last sale that we've had where we've actually had any food left over. It sells.
I know.
And if it's not going to sell to a person, they buy it. Like we've got people who have like hog farms, and they don't mind feeding, beans that are 8 months out to their pigs.
Or old cans of soup or old vegetables. They're all going to be eaten up. So again, you don't throw any of that stuff away because you can get money for it.
Yes.
Question I had before the break, you mentioned that you have people that fly into these sales, and you do a great work of getting people on site. Do any of the sales of the inventory you handle take place online? Can people not be in person?
We don't typically do that. We encourage them to come to the sale. It's really heartbreaking for people when we take pictures, and if that item's not there, it's I'm in a vice.
And it's not fair.
So it has to be on site, and most of the time we get into the property on Monday. So I take the pictures Monday when we leave. They get posted Monday, and the sales on a Thursday or a Friday. We don't really have time to market that. I mean, my company in particular, when you do the amount of sales that we do, we don't have time to market something for that long. Now, if it's an exceptional item, like we did have a really rare guitar, and I knew it was worth some money as soon as we opened it, and I told the family, I said, look, we're going to put this online. And, just regular marketing, and 3 people from across the nation. And the one guy really wanted it from New Jersey. And I let everybody, I said, I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to open the sale up. And after an hour, if that offer still is the best offer from New Jersey, which it was by several $1,000s over, I don't mind shipping it to them. So that way it's a win-win situation because if you have someone local that really would want that and cherish that guitar, let's let them have it. But we did end up taking it down to the UPS store. I dropped it off. He paid for all the shipping. The family got their money, and they were super happy.
Right on.
So,
Well, I bet you come across different items over the years that are really valuable like that. I mean, you can see that.
I'm thinking we could set up with an air card and a laptop, and we'll do a live stream auction on site, so it's all fair to everybody.
But Lance is also right that it's not fair if you advertise it and people can buy it beforehand. That's what people in garage sales do that really makes everybody angry.
It's never a good situation.
That's what I think. Well, one of the things that as you market it, the reason that I've heard you say is that you got to get people there. And I've been to several of your estate sales for my clients, just kind of driven by and stopped in. I'm just shocked at the number of people that are there. So tell me you've had some of these estate sales, you get hundreds of people lined up ready to go in.
Yeah, we had one on Taylor Road, and people came from all over California, Idaho, Brookings, Washington State. And I stopped counting at 225 people in line. One guy got there at 4:30 in the morning, and we don't open till 10.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's really wanting something, isn't it?
We definitely know how to market. That's for sure. We definitely know how to get it in front of the people, and you gotta get it in front of the eyeballs.
Absolutely.
You really do.
Yeah. Now, when people talk to you, because the one thing that I've heard about, I'll do it myself because I'm not going to give you an estate sale guy, I'm not going to pay you. You're going to take too much money. You're not going to do it, blah, 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 blah. And what we've heard today so far is they get rid of everything. They clean it up. They do all the work. They price it, blah, blah, blah. It seems to me that it's worth whatever commission it is you pay. So how do you negotiate, or what would you advise people about the commission? Is it negotiable like in real estate, Lance, or how do you go about doing that?
It is. I'm going to make you more money for sure. And the other thing is you have to ask yourself from a health, perspective. My dad passed away 7 years ago, and I hired somebody else to do it for me. Now he lives up in the Seattle area. We could have logistically done it. It's no big deal. But emotionally, keep your emotions intact and don't do it for mental.
Mental health.
Mental health, you'll save so much. That's my best advice, I guess.
Good stuff.
We got the Real Estate Show, Lance Landers from Ionic Estate Sales here. We've got one more segment to go. He's got some big events coming up we're going to talk about when we return to the Real Estate Show on KMED right after this. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED. June the 10th is our date. Next week here on the show, Brian Schlafke from John L. Scott will be with us. We'll have a John L. Scott Market Watch show about the latest stats and what's going on around Jackson and Josephine County real estate. 2 weeks from today, Glenn Cunningham, our CPA, makes his annual visit with us. He wants to talk about 1031 exchanges with you and what's the do's and don'ts there, because there's a lot of activity in that particular area right now in the real estate market. And for some people, that may be a real option that you want to consider. Today on the show, Lance Landers, the owner of Ionic Estate Sales, is with us talking about the do's and don'ts of estate sales. And every time Lance is around, Lance, you just learn so much about how to do this and do it right to get the most you can for your clients. And what you say is really true about bringing in and the peace of mind of you guys doing it versus a person who's wanting to downsize, and you worry about these things and who's going to do it, who do you trust? Family really can't do it, and you don't want to be taken advantage of. And I think you see that probably up close more even than realtors do.
We do, unfortunately. That's why, hire the professional real estate agent, hire the professional estate sale company. Pete's got a ton of amazing reviews. We have a ton of amazing reviews, and, really leave it to the professional.
Well, you have to. I mean, you really need to do this to do it right. Otherwise, you're just going to mess up and not get what you can for whatever it is that you're selling.
Absolutely.
That's really true. You've got some events coming up that you want to share with people, and I want you to be able to do that. Tell them about what you've got coming up for sales here.
We do. We have, rarely do I go into a home where I'm really shocked, but on this one in Grants Pass, it's in September, and that one's going to be amazing. It's the last week in September. And then in August, there's like an antique extravaganza in Medford. That one's going to be fun. Our event that everybody looks forward to every single year is our annual firearms event.
Firearms.
We did 101 last year. Right now, we've got about 50 firearms that we will have in the sale. So that's something that we actually will consign. If you have a collection, call me, and we can put your collection in there. And that's where we have a lot of people fly in from Montana, Arizona, big gun buyers with lots of money.
Wow.
And, that's something for the guys too. There's normally a lot of other guy stuff there and jewelry for the ladies too, but we mainly focus on firearms, and that's going to be in July on the 14th and 15th of July.
Okay. Now, that's interesting that you can even do that.
We use now, so peace of mind, we do everything with a background check. There is an FFL involved, the Federal Firearm License, and we use Rogue Custom Guns in Grants Pass, and they've been phenomenal.
All right. What do you advise people, Lance, who live out of town? Now, I've seen your signs, your big flags, your estate sale signs, in town.
Yes.
There are many, many people who live in rural properties that are not populated, around you. Do you do the estate sale there? Tell me how you would advise someone who lives outside of the urban area regarding this.
So we either hopefully will have enough marketing time to make sure people can mark it on their calendar, or we also have the ability to move that stuff off-site into a commercial building. We rented last year the Big Red Barn on I-5 in Gold Hill, the old steakhouse.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We filled that one up with a really, really nice family from the manor.
Okay.
And their stuff was amazing.
So sometimes if you live out, you can take everything out of the house and take it to a central location so more people will be able to come to it for the sale.
Or in that case, the manor, they used to let us have sales up there all the time, and then the residents,
they
don't do that anymore. So now we take it off site. So
just take it off site to do that.
Yes, we have the ability to do that.
Yeah. So you anticipate you're booming. I mean, I don't see this slowing down.
I don't.
In the world, mostly because there's a lot of people who are my age and older who are at that retirement age and having to change. It's not that you want to sometimes, is that you just have no other alternative.
Yeah, we belong to an estate, sale network, and in the next 12 years, more people will be retiring than any time in history.
Yeah. Boy, you what does that tell you? You're going to be pretty darn busy there, that's for sure. If I can just say one thing, you want to have, as you say, someone who you can trust to do this, because you're turning your possessions, you're over to somebody. And I can just tell a quick story on Lance. I had a client who Lance was doing an estate sale for, and this particular person had thousands of dollars worth of coins that was left by her father. And what you said earlier in the day, we had everything boxed up, was going to have the estate sale. Lance comes over there the afternoon, they're going to start pricing everything, and everything's gone. The place is empty.
It was
right?
devastating. Yeah.
And I know you called me, and I about fell over. My God, you called the person, the owner, and she had given it away to her neighbors.
Well, she wasn't okay. So that situation was a situation where, unfortunately, she was going through the advanced stages of like
giving stuff away.
But she wouldn't remember it. So she had to. We moved her to a memory care facility. Thank goodness.
But what you did, this is what I want to say. This is why I trust you with my clients. What you came there, the thing was empty. The place was empty, and she had to live on this money. I mean, this was her future.
Yes.
And you called her. She said she had given it, and Lance went to 5 or 6 neighbors and said, knocked on their doors. And said, you can't keep this. This is for her, and and you got it all back, and you did the sale.
Yes, and we made her enough money to honestly.
I think it was like 6 years worth of living.
It was a lot of years worth of living, and I'm glad we could do that for her. And I want to thank you too for helping with that.
Well, I just say that when I saw you when you had done that how many people would actually go that extra mile to save someone who is really vulnerable, as you talk about at that age and things. So that's really remarkable. That's why I trust you with my clients, and I say certainly for an estate sales, my goodness, Lance is the guy to do it. So anyway, and you can find him, of course, at ionicestatesales.com, right?
Yep. And then we also have, the phone number is the best. So the cell phone number, you can reach me. My phone's always on. It's 541-941-4830. Yeah.
And just consulting, getting an idea. Again, the bottom line is don't try this yourself. Seriously. I mean, I'm not, in my situation and Christine's, we don't have you come and do it. I'm not going to do it. I got a 2,000 square foot house, got more stuff in it than I'm trying to get rid of it for years, and you still have that. But do it smart, right?
Yeah.
Don't just do it willy-nilly, but it's a big thing. It's a big move. It's emotional for the family, for the people, and doing the estate sale right really alleviates a lot of that burden that we face.
Yeah, and the other thing is that way we're kind of that go-between. We'll get the price for you from the neighbor that maybe you feel like you got to give an extra special deal to.
It's always good to visit with you.
Thank you so much.
80-some sales you did last
73.
year. My God, 73.
80.
That's an awful lot.
Almost.
Ionic Estate Sales, you can give Lance a call, 941-4830. That'll do it for the Real Estate Show this week. Have a great week, everybody. God bless you all. We'll talk to you next weekend here on KMED.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on KMED Radio, presented by the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, along with John L. Scott Real Estate of Southern Oregon and Bank 34 Mortgage. For guest contact information, download our free app, or to watch a past show, visit us online at realestateshowOregon.com. This show is produced by Table Rock Productions. Join us again next weekend for Southern Oregon's one and only Real Estate Show on KMED. And thank you for making the Real Estate Show part of your weekend.